So everyone's been talking about how Spider-Man should be the real King in Black. Well, guess what? That might not be such a great idea after all. Welcome back to Keepin the Comic, and today we're diving into another Venom War tie-in with Venom War Spider Man issue number 3. Now, in this issue, Peter Parker gets a glimpse of what his future could be if he holds on to the Venom symbiote. Spoiler alert, it leads to him becoming the King in Black, and let's just say it's not great for everyone involved. All right, so let's dive in here. So the first things first, if you've watched my last video here covering the main story in the Venom War issue number 3, you remember that crazy moment when Venom bonded with both Eddie and Dylan Brock. Well, today we're picking up right before that, but this time it's from Spider-Man's perspective. So Eddie Brock is bleeding out in the ring. Dylan's crying over his body, and Spider-Man is in the middle of a battle with Bedlam. Now, the Venom symbiote is reaching out to Spidey, letting him know that Eddie and Dylan, especially Dylan because he's a kid, need him right now. So Spidey is concerned, and Venom can feel it because he's lost this fight before. But the symbiote hits him with, "You think this is the last time that you'll see me? Even if it is, you have to let me go." But then a different voice steps in. This voice says to Peter, "You don't want that, do you? Deep down, you know the truth. You love him." Then Peter's confused and he asks a question. He's like, "Wait, you're not Venom?" To which the voice responds, "No, I am Eventual." So let's break this down here. So Eventual, or as we're used to hearing, Eventuality, is Eddie Brock's final form at the end of the universe. So after becoming all of those other forms like Bedlam, Tyro, and Wild, and of course we gotta mention Meridius as well, who we've seen in the Venom War, he did not want to become Eventuality, so he took a different path to create his own ending. Now, the first time that we saw Eventuality was back in the Venom comic that started in 2021. So later on in issues number 17 and 18, at the time when Eddie was dying, and as a part of that process, he met Eventuality. Now, Eventuality showed him a future where Dylan keeping the Venom symbiote would lead to Venom World. So naturally, Eddie wanted to prevent that. Also, later on, Dylan Brock met Eventuality himself, and when he was dying due to the hands of Carnage, and that is where Dylan saw a future where his dad, Eddie, if he kept the Venom symbiote, that will lead to the destruction of the cosmos, with his dad becoming a no. So then more ensuing events followed after that, and that has led to this Venom War. Ironically, Eventuality also told Eddie that Spider-Man was actually meant to be the King in Black, but then life happened and that things kind of basically went sideways. But here's the thing. I kind of find it ironic because Eventuality is literally Eddie Brock, and Eddie never wanted this role in the first place. So of course he would say, right, that Spider-Man was born for it. I'm just saying I don't quite believe him. Now, if we go back to the story here, Eventuality pulls Peter out of his reality and shows him what his future would be if he kept the Venom symbiote. By the way, Eventuality is looking way more spider-like right now, kind of looking like an arachnid, and we're more so used to seeing him just as a hand. But honestly, I kind of miss the hand right now because this thing looks ugly. No. Also, let's talk about this King in Black suit. This thing looks dope as heck. I can definitely get used to this design if they were gonna keep it, of course, which they're not. So listen, so Eventuality, right? He takes Spidey on a little bit of a journey, and then we get some internal dialogue here from the future King in Black Spider-Man. And he says, "From world to world, my web stretches through the void. I give form to infinity and sit at the center of the stars. I am the king of all that remains in this empty web universe, and I've come a long way from Queens. The few who remain beyond my control now marshal against me, and I can sense it. Every one of them, once a friend, even now they are so very brave. I wish it hadn't come to this. It's the kind of thing I've heard tyrants say across centuries, but now in this terrible moment, I mean it genuinely. I've been fighting for so long. Villains, heroes, armadas, empires. Ever since that day in New York, my so-called victory, Mary Jane's mastery of the arachnid, our rule as king and queen, until she was consumed, until our daughter chose the darkness of Groot's space over the feeling of her grief. They'll never understand why I protect them, what I lost. all those years with a single choice. Instead, they rage against the dying of their chaotic galaxy. I have to remind myself in this moment, more than any other, this is my fault. Now, one of the things that he references here is something that happened in Venom War Spider Man issue number 2, although things seem to have gone a little bit differently here for him. Remember that arachneo creature that they were fighting here in Venom War Spider Man issue number 2? It's something even symbiotes fear, or Jackpot, as they keep trying to stuff down our throats here, wasn't scared and went toe to toe with it. It looked like she won, but nope, it just got hungrier and started swallowing her. Honestly, I'm kind of so over this whole Jackpot thing, but let's move on. Anyway, in this future here, things go down differently. They're together, as he says, as king and queen for a while until it still consumes her anyways. But then during that time, they managed to have a daughter. So then we fast forward to what he's talking about now here, and we see the remaining heroes that are left on Earth trying to take down the King in Black Spider-Man. And it's an interesting lineup here. We got a mix of like Guardians of the Galaxy with Star-Lord, but he has a hammer and it looks very much here kind of like Beta Ray Bill's hammer at the same time, right? But then he also has these glowy eyes. So I'm like, is that really Star-Lord? But then we also get Rocket, we see Groot, we see She-Hulk, we see Captain Marvel, we see Silver Surfer. There's also Hulkling that is shapeshifted here into Hulk. And I think that might be Tony Stark, but I feel like I'm also wrong. And of course here, the Arachneo. Now, they know that this is their last shot, but honestly, they don't stand a chance because Spidey is the King in Black. He has King in Black powers, and also because of his spider sense, they can't beat him. This dude is already destroyed, as he's already said, right? Heroes, villains, armadas, and empires. They honestly have no chance against him, which is a little bit of a bummer because I do love to see a good fight, a good intense showdown. So while he's fighting them, She-Hulk says, "For my sister." Star-Lord says, "For Earth." One says, "For Steve." And then he starts off by saying something else. He says, "Yes, exactly. Their memory means everything to me. Their sacrifice will not be in vain. For the sick who died in pain, for every victim we couldn't protect. It's for them I made this universe, a place of order and peace. You defile their memory by forcing my hand again. But maybe that's always just my lot in this life, huh? With great power comes great responsibility." And I'm like, that's kind of savage and also disrespectful at the same time by Spider-Man. So he continues to take everyone out until he gets to just the Arachneo left. So he says to her, "Was this what you wanted, Arachneo? You weren't satisfied consuming my wife and my friends. You had to consume their futures as well." So then the Arachneo responds back, "Future? What future? You never trusted anyone after you lost her. You blamed yourself. You blamed us. You blamed your daughter." So then he responds, "Don't you dare talk about my daughter. You're the reason why I lost her." So then she tries to respond back, "You didn't lose her. You just couldn't see." So he says, "I see the entirety of time. I see through every symbiote in every moment. Everything I've done was for my family, but they're gone." So then he stabs her through the chest. And as he does that, she says, "Every symbiote except us." And here's the twist. When her mask comes off, it's May Parker. She tells Peter, "We were never gone, Dad, because the Arachneo suit, that was partly MJ." And she continues with, "We just weren't yours," which I'm guessing refers to the Arachneo symbiote because of course that is cloaked over May. So technically they were all still together and was still there. So Peter is just left crying and then consumed by pain. So then right in that moment though, the Venom symbiote starts calling out for Peter and he says, "Peter, can you hear my voice? Come back to me. You are lost in time, but time is a liar. Listen to the voice of the now. And as you told me," and then Peter responds back in that moment, "we all have a choice. And as long as that's true," then Venom responds, "nothing is eventual." So then Peter, as we saw in the main Venom War issue, he tells Venom it's time to choose. So then Venom responds, "Goodbye, friend." And Peter replies, "Goodbye, Venom." His final thought, "It was fun while it lasted, a friendship, a partnership, but in the end, Dylan and Eddie, they are Venom. So yeah, this story was to me kind of a wild ride here. Some parts were really good, right? And then there were some other parts that just were a little bit iffy here. And I think overall, some of the other pieces that are in this issue that I didn't discuss here really kind of were irrelevant. It's sad to kind of not see Peter Parker with the Venom symbiote anymore, but I think one of the things that we're kind of learning here from the main storyline is that Venom, anyone can kind of be Venom in a way. So listen, let me know what you think here down below in the comments. As always, if you've enjoyed this video here, hit that like button. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Follow us on social media here using the links in our description. And until next time, thank you so much for kicking it with Keepin' a Comic. Bye.